In this lesson, we'll go into a little bit more detail about what's happening during photosynthesis, the process by which plants convert materials in their environment into food using solar energy to power the process. So here we see the basic summary of photosynthesis. Plants are able to use water and carbon dioxide as building materials to construct glucose molecules. Glucose is a sugar. And in the process of that chemistry, oxygen is liberated into the atmosphere. And all of this chemistry is powered by sunlight. Okay, in this picture then we see a plant cell. Here's the outer cell wall, the rigid structure. Inside the cell wall is the cell membrane, a more flexible structure. Can't really see it very well here. We have the cytoplasm, the fluid inside the cell where lots of chemistry occurs. We have the nucleus of the cell, inside of which is DNA. DNA has the recipe to build an organism. And the green discs here are the chloroplasts, and this is where photosynthesis takes place. Now, what is the equation of photosynthesis? Well, we can write it in the following way. The two items on the left here of the arrow, the two items on the left we'll call the reactants, or the starting molecules, the starting materials for the chemistry. In this case, it's going to be 6 carbon dioxide molecules and 6 water molecules. And on the right side of the arrow are the products of the reaction. And of course, the main point of doing photosynthesis is to build this molecule right here. It's glucose. And its formula is C6H12O6, so there are 6 carbon atoms in the molecule, 12 hydrogen atoms, and 6 oxygen atoms. And notice over here we have oxygen. 6 oxygen molecules are released as a waste product of this chemistry. So the photosynthesis equation is not sort of a mathematical equation, but it's telling us that from certain starting materials, the plant is able to construct a desired molecule with some waste. And again, photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplasts, so it's these chloroplasts that are allowing the plant to make its own food. Now, we call sugar food because sugar here, the glucose here, is a source of energy, and it can be a building material as well. So this is a very valuable molecule. So if we think about the chloroplast as the site of photosynthesis, we want to think about water molecules entering the chloroplast, carbon dioxide molecules entering the chloroplast, complex chemistry going on inside the chloroplast to construct glucose. Here's the glucose molecule. And out of the chloroplast will come waste oxygen molecules. And this whole process, whole chemistry, is powered by sunlight. Now, earlier I mentioned that this is the photosynthesis equation, but why use the word equation? It doesn't seem like there's no equal sign here. It's not a mathematical equation in the typical sense. But there is something to take note, why we talk about an equation here. There is an equality represented in this reaction. And the equality comes in the form of a conservation of matter. So the conservation of matter we can think of as follows. During chemical reactions, atoms are not created or destroyed, only rearranged into new molecules. Chemical bonds of the reacting molecules are broken and new bonds are made to create the products of the reaction. In photosynthesis, energy from sunlight is used to break the bonds of the starting molecules and create new bonds in the products. So the equation can be seen in the following way. If we just take a look at the left side of the reaction here, and let's count up all of the carbon atoms on the left side. So we have 6 carbon dioxide molecules. Well, each carbon dioxide molecule has 1 carbon atom, so we have 6 carbon atoms over here. There's no carbon in water, so we have a total of 6 carbon atoms on the reactant side. On the product side, there's no carbon in oxygen, but there are 6 atoms of carbon in 1 molecule of glucose, of the sugar here. So notice then we have an equality. We have 6 carbon atoms on the reactant side and 6 carbon atoms on the product side. Let's take a look at oxygen. Carbon dioxide has 2 oxygen atoms for each carbon dioxide molecule, but we have 6 molecules. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus we have 6 molecules of water. There's 1 oxygen in each water molecule, so that's 6 oxygens there. So we had 12 plus 6, we have 18 oxygen atoms on the left side of the reaction. Let's count oxygen over here. We've got one molecule of glucose, and there are 6 oxygens in that molecule, so that's 6. But then over here we have 6 molecules of oxygen. A molecule of oxygen has 2 atoms of oxygen bonded to each other. So 6 times 2 is 12, plus another 6 is 18. 18 on the left, 18 oxygen on the right. Balanced. And we can do the same with hydrogen. 6 times 2 is 12, and here we have 12 hydrogens over here. So that's what we mean by the sort of equation, that during chemical reactions we see a conservation of matter. The atoms on the left, the number of atoms of each type on the left will equal the number of atoms on the right of each type. So what chemical reactions are doing is that they're breaking the bonds between the atoms on the left side of the reactants, and then rearranging those atoms, making new chemical bonds to make new kinds of molecules on the right. But the atoms are not created or destroyed, they're simply rearranged into new molecules. So in the next part, we'll take a look at the role of sunlight in this process.